Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel for the fourth episode in the current series of videos that I'm recording within Train Sim World 2. In this episode we're going to be taking a look at the Southeastern High Speed route, though I won't be driving a high speed journey today, as I'm going to be reserving that for a future video, so that should be coming in the not too distant future from now. So yeah, I just really wanted to highlight the recently released Class 465, which doesn't have many places that you can currently drive it within Train Sim World. So I'm driving it using timetable mode between Gravesend and Rainham, using train 2 Lima 23, which is the 1213 London Charing Cross to Rainham service, but of course the route isn't simulated beyond Gravesend towards Charing Cross, so we're starting here for a journey distance of just over 13 miles. We will be calling at all stations along the way, and our stops will include Higham, Strood, Rochester, Chatham, Gillingham, and finally Rainham. As already mentioned, the train that I'm driving on this journey today is the Class 465 electric multiple unit. So the Class 465s have been in service since the 13th of October 1992 and were manufactured by British Rail Engineering Limited, ABB Rail and Metro Camel between 1991 and 1994, with a total of 147 four-car units constructed. They have a maximum speed of 75 miles per hour, with a total unit weight of around 136 tonnes, a power output of 1,608 horsepower, which is 1,199 kilowatts, and they run on the 750 volts DC third rail electrification system, which is found in the southern region of the UK. Now in the cab of the unit, we're just going to go through the quick setup procedure now. So if we just look to the left and zoom in, you can see there the master key slot there. So if I just click in that and then drag it, it puts the key in and it turns it just to lock the key into place. Now that I've done that, I'm going to press Control and numpad enter to turn on the AWS system, and Shift and numpad enter to turn on the driver safety device. Now I'm going to move the reversing handle to the neutral position, and as I do so, the AWS self-test sequence will start. So you just press Q to reset that. Now that we've done that, I'm going to press H to turn on the headlights, and that should now put them into the daytime setting. So just to mention, just in front of us there, we've got the combined traction and brake controller, which handles very much like it did in the Class 377 in my previous East Coastway video. So we've got the off position. As you move it up away from the off position, there's 3 steps of braking, indicating the levels of brake force there. And as you pull it towards you away from the off position, there's 4 steps of power available for acceleration and maintaining speed. Just above that, we've got the brake gauge there, with the right hand needle indicating the brake cylinder pressure, which indicates how hard the brakes are applied. We've got the speedometer in the middle here, which is measured in miles per hour, and there is a speed set system, though I'm not going to use it on this journey today. I'm just going to try and control the speed manually. So yeah, we've pretty much set up ready for departure now, so I'm just going to open the windows as I like to do, just because you get a bit more noise of the air rushing past and you can hear the train a bit better. And now let's just take another look outside the train before we depart and head out on our journey towards Rainham. Departing away from Gravesend, the starting speed limit here is 30 miles per hour, with around 4.4 miles to go to our first stop, which is Hayam. And we just reached 30 miles per hour, just coasted for a moment, and the speed limit has now just jumped to 50 at a small oval shaped post on the left there, so I'm going to accelerate just past this overbridge here. As we get towards 50 miles per hour, I'm then going to shut off the power again just to allow the train to coast. So I've just shut off the power momentarily. We are on a shallow downward gradient, which should mean we won't lose too much speed. And now I'm just looking out along here for a further increase in the speed limit up to 70 miles per hour. So we're now passing the 45/70 speed post there. The speed limit's now going up to 70. Just leave it a few seconds to ensure that the rear of the train has passed. Now I can accelerate up towards that. And again, as we get towards 70 miles per hour, I'm going to just shut off the power now and allow the train to coast. And I'll go between idle and notch 1 of power to maintain the speed. The gradient is now levelling out as we get towards Hoo Junction. So Hoo Junction is a massive freight yard, which we're going to see shortly. And then after we've passed the Hoo Junction yard, we then need to look at starting to slow down for our stop at Hayam. So just losing a little bit of speed there. I've just gone back up to notch 1 of power just to bring our speed up towards 70 again, and then I'll idle the power again at that point. So we're now coming up on Hoo Junction Yard, as I mentioned a moment ago. It's quite an interesting place actually to look at when you go past on a train in reality, just because there's usually quite a variety of locos parked up here, certainly far more than you can see within the game. So as we pass the yard and the tracks merge back down to just the 2 tracks again, then at that point we've got 1 mile to go to our stop at Higham. So that signal was another landmark, and as we approach a straight bit of track coming up in a moment, I'm then going to apply the brakes up to step 2, and then I'll adjust the braking as necessary to ensure that we stop at the station. So it looks like we might be slowing down a little bit too quick, so I've just pulled the braking down to step 1 momentarily. I can now see the platform coming up just ahead. I actually chose the weather specifically for this journey to be summer fog, just to add a little bit of challenge so that the visibility is reduced a bit. Because this is actually a fairly easy journey to learn to drive without the HUD. And for those who've never done it before, I mean, if you follow this video, you could really try it out with this journey, because as I said, it's fairly easy to do, and it's not too long, and there's not too many speed changes to remember. So here at Hayam Station, I'm aiming to stop at the S sign, which you can see just coming up on the left near the end. We should now be stopping in just about the right place. Departing away from Higham, the starting speed limit here is still 70 miles per hour, with around 2.5 miles to go to the next stop at Strood. And we're just about to enter the first of 2 tunnels here. We're going to be travelling through tunnels pretty much all of the way to Strood from this point. There's just a small gap between these 2 tunnels, and then as we come out of the second tunnel, we're then pretty much entering Strood station. So at this point I'm going to accelerate up to 70 miles per hour, then I'm going to cut off the power just to allow the train to coast. So we're now doing 70 miles per hour. I've just shut off the power at this point, and we're just going to allow the train to coast. So as we enter this second tunnel, we've got 1.3 miles to go to Strude station. 1.5 miles to go to Strude station, but 1.3 miles to go to an upcoming 15 mile per hour speed limit. There is actually a warning for that speed limit in this tunnel, a Morpeth board warning, which is 0.6 miles from the speed limit itself. And the speed restriction comes into force at the signal just after the tunnel exit. So just had the warning for the upcoming 15. I'm just going to wait until we're a little bit past this signal, a little bit closer to the tunnel end, and now I'm just going to apply an initial step 1 brake application, which I will increase if necessary, or decrease as we get closer to the end of the tunnel, just to try and slow down precisely for that 15. And then as we enter Strude station, we're actually on an uphill gradient, so you need to go between idle and notch 1 to try and maintain the speed of between 12 and 15 miles per hour. Just releasing the brakes momentarily, and then I'll reapply as we get closer to the end of the tunnel. So we're now down to 15 miles per hour just in time, and as I said, the gradient is now actually going to go uphill into Strude station. Here at Strude station, you need to stop at the S sign at the end of the platform, and just due to the uphill gradient, as you probably noticed, I'm just increasing the power quite regularly there to bring our speed back up to 15 and then idling again. And we should now be stopped in just about the right place. Departing away from Strude, the starting speed limit there was initially 15 miles per hour, though it has gone up to 20 miles per hour on this curve. We can accelerate just as we reach these crossover points here. We started on a steep upward gradient, which we're still on right now, though that's going to level out in a moment as we join the Chatham main line, which comes from London Victoria. So if you were coming from behind us there, we'd be coming from London Victoria, and that train there is indeed going towards London Victoria. We're now coming up on Rochester Bridge Junction. Immediately as we entered Rochester Bridge, the speed limit went up to 30 miles per hour, and you can accelerate towards that around the 4th overhead bridge gantry just here. So I'm now accelerating up towards 30, and then I'm going to shut off the power again just to allow the train to coast towards Rochester Station. So we're now coming into Rochester, and here at Rochester we need to stop at the 4 to 8 car stop sign near the end of the platform. So I entered the platform at 30 and made an initial step 1 brake application just to start bringing our speed off. I'm just trying to look out for where that stop point is now. I know it's somewhere near the end, but not quite at the end, which doesn't seem to quite make sense to me here with the fact that the station roof is right back behind us. So if it was rainy, then you'd be getting a bit wet out here. And so I've just found that I had to make a bit of a harder brake application than I'd normally like, but we should now be stopped in just about the right place. Departing away from Rochester, the speed limit here is still 30 miles per hour, with around 0.8 miles to go to the next stop, which is Chatham. We're now passing the site of the old Rochester station, which closed not too long ago, I don't think. So at this point I'm just going between idle and notch 1 of power to try and maintain the speed. We're on an uphill gradient all of the way through to Chatham station. So going through another tunnel now. At this tunnel exit we'll actually be entering the platforms at Chatham, and at Chatham station we want to stop at the 4 to 10 car stop sign near the end of the platform. Gradient levels out just as we enter the platform here, so we won't be starting on an upward gradient. Once again, I'm just trying to look out for that 4 to 10 car stop sign to try and stop in the right place here. I think I can just see it coming up on the left just ahead. And so we should now be stopped in just about the right place. Departing away from Chatham here, the starting speed limit was still 30 miles per hour, with around 1.4 miles to go to the next stop, which is Gillingham. And I just went up to about 31, 32 miles an hour for a moment there, slightly distracted, so I quickly slowed us back down to 30. Probably get into trouble for that in real life. So yeah, I'm now coasting at 30 miles per hour, and the speed limit will shortly be going up to 50 miles per hour at the next signal. The speed limit's now going up to 50 miles per hour, but I do need to note that we are currently running under cautionary signals, so I've got to prepare to stop at a red if necessary. So I'm just going to accelerate now up to the new speed limit. The speed limit's just gone up to 60 miles per hour now, entering this tunnel. As we reach this tunnel exit, we've then got 700 yards to go to Gillingham station. So I've just idled the power at this point to allow the train to coast. I'm going to apply the brakes in a moment, shortly after we've passed this signal here. So I can now see Gillingham station coming up just ahead, and we need to stop here at the 4-car stop sign, which is around halfway along the platform. So I can see it coming up just ahead. If you look at the posts just there to our left, you can see the 4 there next to the platform marker for platform 3. And we should now be stopped in just about the right place. Departing away from Gillingham, the speed limit here is still 60 miles per hour, with around 2.9 miles to go to our next and final stop, which is Rainham. We're now passing the site of Gillingham Depot on the right hand side, and as we get towards 60 miles per hour here, I'm going to just cut the power and go between idle and notch 1 to maintain the speed at 60 until there's a further increase in the speed limit, which is up to 80 miles per hour in a moment. So I've just cut the power back to notch 1. In fact, it seems to be holding us for a moment, so I'm just looking out now for the further increase in the speed limit, which should be coming up in a moment. Idling the power momentarily, and now the speed limit's going up to 80, though of course, as I mentioned at the start of the video, the maximum speed for this train is 75 miles per hour, and that's also indicated by the 75 line on the speedometer being marked in red. So at the next signal, after the speed increase to 75/80 miles per hour, we've then got 1.6 miles to go. So now I've reached 75 miles per hour, just shut off the power to allow the train to coast at this point. At the next signal, we've got 1 mile to go to Rainham and 0.7 miles to go to an upcoming 25 mile per hour speed restriction, which is indicated by the fact that it's a cautionary signal, because we will be going into the bay platform at Rainham, which is of course a dead end. So I'm going to apply the brakes for the upcoming 25 speed restriction as we reach this, or as we approach this next overbridge just coming up now. At the following signal, we've got 300 yards to go to the upcoming 25 mile per hour speed limit. So just applied the brakes initially into step 1, and I'm now going to increase it to step 2 as we pass this signal here. The speed limit comes into force immediately as we reach some crossover points, which are coming up just ahead. In fact, we might not be slowing down quite quick enough, so I've just made an even harder brake application, a bit harder than I usually would, to step 3, which got our speed just about in time. So what I'd say is, where I made a step 1 brake application at the overbridge, just make a step 2 brake application initially to ensure that you've slowed down in time. And now that we're coming into the platform here at Rainham, I'm just going to apply the brakes. Don't really want to enter faster than 20-25, and then I'm now slowing us down towards 15 and then 10 miles per hour about halfway along the platform to bring us to a gradual stop just before the buffer stops here. So just fanning the brakes there to bring us to a nice gentle stop near the buffers, and we should now be stopped in just about the right place. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for watching this video. I do hope that you enjoyed it. It's quite a short episode, and as I said, I am going to make a longer episode on this route covering the full journey in the future. That is something that I plan to do. So I do hope that you enjoyed the episode. If you'd like to check me out on Facebook, then just visit PTG Rail on Facebook. There's a link to that in the video description. If you're interested in my photography or future plans to make travel documentaries, then please see PTG Travel on Facebook or PTG Photography on Facebook. So yeah, I hope to be back with another episode soon. In the meantime, thanks for watching.